My name is Michael Telsra. I'm the Executive Director at Heritage Hill State Historical Park, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about our mission and why it's important to give big on February 21st and 22nd. Our mission is to share the cultural and historic ties that bind this community, this state, and this nation together. We think it's really important that particularly young people have good civic education. They ought to know where they came from so they can make sense of the present and prepare for the future. Whether you're a First Nations member or your ancestors came over in the 1860s, doesn't really matter. You're all part of the fabric of history, a link in the chain of history, as it were. And we believe that children especially have to see themselves within the context of history. A nation is judged by how it treats those who helped build the country and helped grow the country. And so it's very important that our young people understand that they're part of a continuity of history. And we really believe that civic education is very important and it creates a healthy society. So on February 21st and 22nd, I want you to think about that. I want you to think about not only history, but history as an important tool in developing good citizens. And so I encourage you to give generously. My favorite building would have to be the guardhouse at Fort Howard. I think the story of Fort Howard is fascinating. There's so many great stories associated with Fort Howard, not only the military society at Fort Howard, but also civilian interaction with First Nations, and just the personal stories of the soldiers are so varied and so interesting. And when you think about it, these were young men that were coming from the eastern part of the United States, southern part of the United States, to an area that was essentially wilderness. They didn't really know what to expect. They worked very, very hard for little pay. Discipline was very, very harsh. And they're largely, unfortunately, forgotten by most people today. And so I'm kind of partial to the Fort Howard buildings because of that. I think those are the reasons that I find them so fascinating. The stories that are associated with these buildings, and just the story of individuals, forging a new frontier. It's just a fascinating story. Okay, thank you for supporting Heritage Hill State Historical Park.